My name is Kelly Slater, professional surfer. Spending my life traveling around the world. You know, I think coming from the East Coast, we had especially back in the 70s and 80s, we were kind of looked down on from the West Coast, who was looked down on from Hawaii, and Australia looked down on everyone else kind of thing, you know, felt they were the better surfers. So there was always this kind of grudge match for us to try and prove ourselves and prove that we could be, you know, world-class surfers. And I beat some of the best guys. I beat some of the ex-world champions and stuff by the time I was, say, like 18 years old, 19. And I thought, you know, fuck it, there's no reason I can't win the world title. I beat the best guys in the world. Like, I should be able to beat them every time. And that was my mindset, you know. I was just thinking, like, why shouldn't I take these guys down every time? I had to distance myself from the awe I felt from surfing against, you know, guys that were my heroes. I remember when I did Baywatch, but when I did that, I know there's a lot of people calling me a sellout. Totally understandable. For, you know, it was just commercializing and you know, sort of bastardizing what our culture was for a character, and that's basically why I quit. So, you know, that wasn't really a fun time for me. The fun time for me at that time was, you know, that was the first year I became world champion, and I was having a lot, to me that was like an offset. Like, I was like, okay, if I'm gonna do this, like, to keep my credibility, I gotta win this world title, you know? I just think as kids we learn to kind of, if somebody's winning a lot, you resent them somewhat, because you want to win yourself, you know? So it can make it funny between friends if one guy's doing super well and the other guy's not. And I've seen it with other guys that get on a roll, like Andy Irons, for instance, when he would be on a huge roll. I know I had my voodoo doll out, you know, I wanted him to lose, and I could see other people, when Andy was that dominant, they wanted him to lose. And then I could feel that, like, if I was in that position and I was winning like that, I could feel that from other people. They weren't really backing me. They were like, fuck that, I want someone else to beat that guy. Today's actually Andy's birthday. His legacy to the sport, I mean, he's just a legend of the sport, you know, as much as anybody ever. And you know, he burned out fast and bright, and he was totally unapologetic about his ways. You know, he was in your face. He was fuck you at all times when he wanted to win. And you know, the last year or so that he was on tour before he passed away, he lost that competitive edge. He lost that competitive desire because he was working sort of spiritually on himself, and he saw competition as kind of, I think he saw it as almost kind of getting in the way of him being who he is. You know, so I think he was sort of torn between that's inside him, that competitive nature is inside him, and he knows he's good at that. So we just had it out. For the most part, people around us supported that. Like, let them go to war, and you know, it's their thing, and we'll pick our sides, but you know, we'll leave it between them. And it was in that way, it was cool, you know. I have a picture of Andy and I. We did the cover of this magazine in Hawaii, and we put on boxing gloves and we're in each other's face like this, like, let's go. And it was in 2003 when we were coming down to Pipe Masters, and he ended up beating me in that final. I remember Andy being really. I remember looking at him in that photo shoot, and he looked really intimidated. Not like I was going to fight him right there, but just like he was uncomfortable with that, the intimacy of the photo shoot. We're in each other's faces, like this close, like having to square up. We have to stare at each other for a couple minutes to this photo shoot, and he didn't want to look at me, and he was kind of like looking down and stuff. And you know, I think for me, like, I wanted to look straight right in his eyes, and for him, he didn't want to give anything away. So we had real different ways of going about things. But then when you got in the water, he wanted to look right, and he wanted to be right in your grill, and I wanted to beat him myself. So it would flip when we were on the beach or when we were in the water. We had different ways of approaching most everything in life. You know, I don't think I'll ever have it again. I'm basically positive of that. I've surfed against every guy on tour, and I just don't feel all that energy with anybody, you know? I don't feel that level of battle with anyone. Even if guys have better records on me head to head, I really don't care. But with Andy, it was personal, you know? It was like, I want to beat him more than he's going to beat me, at least in the end. And I think we were like pretty close to tied, or I think I ended up passing him by like 10-9 or however many heats we had. But you know, there was a while there where he had my number. He was beating me every time, and it was really, really tough to take. But you know, the very last time we surfed against each other was the last contest he won, and he beat me in the semifinals, I think. He won the contest, and that was our last time surfing against each other.